If you're American especially, the Jeep Wagoneer is basically part of your motoring culture. The first Wagoneer was debuted in 1962. That was the SJ series, and it was really one of the first so-called SUVs. And a more upmarket version called the Grand Wagoneer, which was bedecked with faux wooden panels along the sides of it, was later launched. And that model in particular is now attained something of a cult status. Various upmarket versions of the XJ Cherokee in the 1980s, and then in the 1990s the ZJ Grand Cherokee, also bedecked with wooden panels, were also offered as a Wagoneer. In 2015, Jeep began the rumour mill that it was going to bring the Wagoneer nameplate back. While there were delays due to COVID, Jeep did launch a concept version of a forthcoming Wagoneer in 2020. That model was launched as a production car, little changed actually, in 2021 in two versions, the Wagoneer and the Grand Wagoneer, which is what we've got here. I'm Darren Walker and this is Auto Atlantica. That concept is really quite blingy and it was very attractive. It was bejeweled with a full width light bar that went across the grille, and I think the grille was actually lit up as well. Now that didn't make it to the production car as you might expect, but even so we still have a fair bit of bling here. There are essentially three basic models of the new Wagoneer. The base Wagoneer itself uses the same 5.7 litre Hemi V8 with the e-torque engine as the Ram DT pickup truck, and indeed all new Wagoneers and Grand Wagoneers sit on the Ram DT's frame. That engine in the Wagoneer produces 392 horsepower and about 404 pound-feet of torque. I've got a little crib sheet here. The Grand Wagoneer has a 6.4 litre V8 which pumps out 471 horsepower and 455 pound-feet of torque. Those two models with those engines ran until 2023, but for 2024 everything changed. Both of those models lost their V8s and instead gained the new 3 litre 6-cylinder Hurricane engine. There are two versions of that engine. The base Wagoneer gets the lower output 420 horsepower, 468 pound-feet of torque unit, while the Grand Cherokee gets the twin turbo version, which produces 510 horsepower and 520 pound-feet of torque unit. The third one is this. This is the L, and it's a long wheelbase version. It was introduced later in 2023 as a 2024 model in both Wagoneer and Grand Wagoneer guise. Now this is where it gets a little bit complicated, because the L has used the Hurricane engines right from the get-go. So again, lower output for the Wagoneer and the high output twin turbo for this, the Grand Wagoneer. This is a Grand Wagoneer L. And we've actually rented this, and we've just completed a 3,400 mile road trip of the southern states in it. Plenty of room for the dogs, plenty of room for us, and it is performed beautifully. So now I'm going to tell you what I like and what I don't like about it. Now, as you'd expect from $100,000 to $120,000 fully loaded SUV, it is full of electronic gimmickry. One of the features that I've spent over a week trying to figure out, and you probably noticed the headlights going on and off while I was doing my introduction, is the entry system. The car is currently locked, but as you walk up to it, then everything starts coming to life. At least it should do. There it is. So the mirrors unfold. The headlights come on, as you can see there, And the power running boards also come out to play. When you unlock the car, as I have now, it also performs a neat little light trick here, and as you walk away, everything folds back up, folds in, especially if I lock the car. The mirrors fold in, and if you're far enough away, which I am now, then eventually those running boards will go back up by themselves. And you know that it's done that, and it's allowed you to leave the car just by the way that the rear lights perform their function. If you're not far enough away, it will lock the car, but it will keep the mirrors out. There's the running board now, and it will do a different light trick. So I'm now going to bring it back to life and show you inside the boot. You can see here that with the third row up, you've still got a massive amount of room, 44 cubic feet in fact. This being the top model, you can actually electronically push the third row down right there. It'll also automatically flip the headrest down as well, and we can do the same with the second row, which is what we did with the dogs, and we covered all this with blankets for the dogs, so they had a monumental amount of space. We had a couple of trunks and a refrigerator back here, and they had plenty of room. But in this configuration, you get a monumental 130 cubic feet of boot space. In this Grand Wagoneer, everything is padded in leather, and these seats are immensely comfortable. In fact, the headrests are some of the most comfortable that I've experienced outside of a Mercedes. You've got two captain's chairs here, and the third row is back there. Plenty of room. That extra 12 inches in length really helps with the leg room in the back here. And then you have a covered center console in there, and you've got a USB-A and USB-C console. Everything is illuminated. You've also got these in the back for the third row as well. There is also one in the front cubby. You've also got two down here, along with a 12 volt and 115 volt plug set. And then up front you have two more behind that screen. Two sunroofs in this. We've got this panoramic roof in the front, and then there is a second one for the back seat passengers as well. Up front, same deal, same illuminated Macintosh speaker system. You've also got illuminated controls for the power seats and massaging seats. You can massage them from here or from the center console. I'll go into that in a minute. You have a full electronic screen with various displays, center screen, a secondary screen which actually pops up and down for the heater and the seat functions. This Grand Cherokee does not have the passenger screen. That is a $2,000 option in all Wagoneers and Grand Wagoneers. And then you've got this lovely wooden plinth on the Grand Wagoneer, which is absolutely beautiful. That extends to the doors as well. Up here you've got the Guardian system, which is rather like GM's OnStar. Firing up the engine, everything comes into life as you'd expect, with some rather nice graphics. Now, I've got this currently set on the basic speedometer. It gives you an electronic tachometer as well. It tells you everything you need to know. This is the more basic speedometer. This is the more advanced one. You've got a whole slew of different options. You've got driver information here, adaptive cruise control, and you can change the active lane assist as well. This came in useful during our trip because we did have an incident in Savannah where it wouldn't let us engage gear after we were parked on. It mentioned something, so we were at the side of a street with a steep camber to it, and it gave us a warning about rolling over. It wouldn't let me disengage the parking brake. We did eventually, but it wouldn't let me engage gear either. And then the check engine light came on, only for until the next time that we started the vehicle. So it must have triggered some sort of module. It's a bit disconcerting, but everything was fine. But I kept it on this display to make sure that it wasn't a problem with the battery. So let's go onto the trip info, map display. This we kept on during the trip, because when we were using the nav and weren't using Google Maps, this was very handy to have right in front of you. There's an off-road feature there. This car does have full-time four-wheel drive things, and this is the head-up display settings. The head-up display, if I can focus on it, there it is. Inside the Grand Wagoneer, you are given pretty much every conceivable luxury. The mirrors are electrochromic, for instance. The inlaid wood is just a beautifully appointed, and you also have at night, you've got blue accent lighting between this this shelf here and the rest of the dash. That's very attractive. The main screen gives you everything from the media to CarPlay to various vehicle settings and you've got this. You can automatically dim the mirrors. You can change the how the steps come out, for instance. You've also can change all the ambient lighting to various colors that you so wish, both the ambient lighting, which is on the doors, and like I say, on this ridge here. It's also under the seats as well. It's absolutely beautiful. Here's the navigation, and these are the various apps as well. Now the Macintosh app is particularly nice. You switch that on and you have these decibel output meters here, like an old style hi-fi system. That is really nice. You've got massaging seats which can be controlled here and in the middle here, so you can have waterfall to rock climb, which I think are just polar opposites, but I'm going to keep those off. This screen controls all the air ventilation. The rear passengers have one as well, although you can control those from the front here as well. That screen is fixed. This one is not. It actually retracts at the touch of this button to reveal more USB-A and USB-Cs here, and a 12-volt socket and a charging pad for your phone, which of course you can't see when this is down, which is a bit silly. So there's all sorts of controls here, these are touch screens, so you can turn off the stop start, for instance, turn off the traction control. And you've also got a park sense feature here, which allows you to the car to park itself. So you've got these more tactile buttons here for the AC and turning up the ventilation, for instance, which is rather nice. And then you've got back to your touch controls again for heated seats, heated steering wheel, cooled seats, and also the zones, because the rear seats are also heated and cooled. You can also adjust the ride height manually. It will do this itself when it gets up to cruising speed, because it's air suspension. And then you've got the full-time four-wheel drive here. You can set this to any kind of terrain that you like, and it's also got a four-wheel drive low feature as well for low range. Apart from some niggles like this screen, that when it's down you can't access the features behind, and the jiggly ride low down, which you've got to expect for a separate body on frame car. As it's doing now, it just rolls around a little bit. Apart from those things, I love everything about this truck. Everything. While we're away, many people complimented us on it, even though it's not ours. It rides beautifully. It munches the miles without hesitation. There is a sound. There's a beep or a chime or a warning for practically everything you can think of. You've got such a commanding ride in this, and it is utterly commodious. It's basically a car for all seasons, quite literally, and it will do anything that you want of it, unless you want it to act like a Ferrari. But you know what, even at that, the pickup on this car is absolutely phenomenal. That 3-litre twin turbo 6 really hauls this car along. The downside, of course, to that 3-litre Hurricane engine is that you don't have the sound of the Hemi. There is no V8 grunt. It does require premium fuel, so anything that's 91 AKI or above, and that made a difference to our fuel bills considerably on this road trip. The one thing I was disappointed with was the fuel economy on this trip. It recorded about 19.4 miles to the gallon, that's US gallons on average, over the 3,400 miles, and that included a variety of driving styles, from freeways to backcountry roads to being stuck in traffic in cities. Now, you could argue with a vehicle that's this size and weight, and I'll put the weight of it on the screen, that 19.4 can't be considered too shabby, and it couldn't, but the Yukon XL that we had, for instance, which granted is a little bit smaller than this, achieved 26 to the gallon on a similar run. Indeed, my truck with the 5.7 litre V8 can also achieve 25 to 26 in similar circumstances. In the 9 days that we've had this car, there's been very little that I disliked. Most of it I absolutely loved, and it's taken us that time to figure out all the features that it has and discover its little quirks as well. I've been so impressed with it that I want one myself. Whether it will be this specification, I don't know, but it's certainly something to look forward to. In the remaining hours that I've actually got this particular car, I'm going to swan around in it and just enjoy everything that it offers for one final time. I'm Darren Walker, and this is Auto Atlantica.